Good morning students. Today I am going to discuss chapter 7 Geography of your class. That chapter is Lifeline of National Economy. Lifeline of National Economic. Already first part and second part I discuss about different type of transportation. In this part, in that third part, I discuss about waterways transportation. You know that waterways transportation is much more cheapest one transportation we find in our country India. You know, huge amount of heavy and bulky goods we transported from one place to another place easily, but it is time consuming. You know, there are much more advantage we find in that waterway transportation. Waterway transportation is environment friendly transportation and fuel efficient also we find in that transportation. So let us discuss about different type of waterways transportation. You know, in our country India, that waterway transportation divided also two part. One is known as inland waterway transportation and other one is seaways transportation. So I am going to discuss about inland waterway transportation. Students, you know that inland waterway transportation that extended minimum 15,500 किलोमीटर. हमारा कंट्री में ये जो inland waterway transportation है 14,500 किलोमीटर तक ये एक्सटेंडेड है. And from that 14,500 kilometer there are only 5,685 kilometer mechanized navigation we find there. That what do you mean by mechanized? Means they are different type of vehicles are moved through that water body and machines are utilized there in that boat, in that steamer, and the people move one place to another place. And the remaining 1 kilometer there are manual navigation occurred. Remaining one में manual navigation होता है. Students, you know, in our country, in North India, you find there are the longest rivers. You find there, this just like river Ganga's river, Yamuna river, Brahmaputra, and other one is in inland waterway transportation. In the south part of our country, you find different type of canals. Through canal also people moves, and they are goods also. They transport from one place to another place. So in our country, which is different type of waterway transportation we find, there are 5 type of national waterway transportation we find in our country. What are that 5 types of national waterway transportation and where that is spread? About that one I am going to explain in front of you. Now I am going to discuss about that 5 national waterway. Students, you know, national waterway 1, that one we find in river Ganga. National waterway total kilometer distance that navigation occurred 1620 kilometer, and that is 1620 kilometer extended from UP इलाहाबाद टू वेस्ट बंगाल हल्दिया. यहाँ पे जो नेविगेशन होता है नेशनल वाटरवे 1 में, ये गंगा रिवर में है और टोटल डिस्टेंस 620 किलोमीटर है. एंड दैट इज द लॉन्गेस्ट वाटरवे ट्रांसपोर्टेशन इनसाइड आवर कंट्री. एंड अदर वन इज नेशनल वाटरवे 2 दैट एक्सटेंडेड 891 kilometer. That one we find in the river ब्रह्मपुत्र. रिवर ब्रह्मपुत्र में हम लोग को नेशनल वाटरवे 2 देखने के लिए मिलेगा. एंड दैट एक्सटेंडेड फ्रॉम आसाम टू अदर वन इज within that Assam that extended. In Assam, everyone you know that one we find in Brahmaputra river, Sadia and Dhubri. Sadia means Assam, one place is Sadia, and till to the end of east that is Sayadri. यहाँ तक वो extended है. And the national waterway 3 total that 1 kilometer extended 205 kilometer, and that national waterway we find in the south part of our country. Through canal that navigation occurred, and that one we find in the south in Kerala area. And from which area to which area it extended? That Kollam, Ogalamandalam, and other one is चंपाकारा कैनाल. जो चंपाकारा कैनाल में and उगालामंडलम कैनाल में नेशनल वाटरवे 3 that navigation occurred. And navigation 4 we find नेशनल वाटरवे 4 में, दैट वन इज एक्सटेंडेड 1078 किलोमीटर। ये जो 1078 किलोमीटर एक्सटेंडेड है, दैट वन वी फाइंड इन रिवर गोदावरी एंड रिवर कृष्णा। ये नेशनल वाटरवे जो हम लोग का 4 है, ये साउथ पार्ट इंडिया में ये नेविगेशन होता है। मेनली जो हमारा साउथ में लॉन्गेस्ट रिवर है, रिवर गोदावरी एंड रिवर कृष्णा में ये स्प्रेड हुआ है। दैट इज द लॉन्गेस्ट नेशनल वाटरवे, सेकेंड लॉन्गेस्ट नेशनल वाटरवे वी फाइंड इन अवर कंट्री इंडिया। एंड दैट वन वी फाइंड फ्रॉम व्हिच एरिया टू व्हिच एरिया, वी फाइंड काकीनाडा पुडुचेरी एरिया, दैट वन इज एक्सटेंडेड। एंड नेशनल वाटरवे जो हम लोग का 5 है, दैट वन वी फाइंड इन ईस्टर्न part of our country, mainly from river Mahanadi to river Brahmani, river Matai, and that one is extended 588 kilometer. And the other rivers also in our country, there we find different type of navigation, but that is not numbering in national waterway transportation. So that is all about inland waterway transportation. Students, now I am going to discuss about major seaports which are we find in our country India. Major seaport के बारे में हम डिस्कस करेंगे। Students, you know, in our country total coastal line extended in our mainland 6,000 kilometer, but including our 2 island, total coastal line we find in our country 7,516.6 kilometer. हमारा कंट्री में जो टोटल कोस्टल लाइन है मेनलैंड के साथ साथ आइलैंड, वो है 7,516.6 किलोमीटर। ये जो कोस्टल लाइन हमारा कंट्री में है, थ्रू दैट कोस्ट वी transported different type of heavy and bulky goods from one country to another country. And you know, in our country we find minimum 12 major ports we find, and minor ports also day by day they are going to increase, and they are mainly we find more than that 200 minor ports we find in our country India. And you know, our country that do trading from our country to other country, 95% that exported huge amount of goods through that waterway transportation, that is major seaports. They parcel huge amount of bulky goods from our country to another country. So everyone, you are going to discuss about major ports in our country India. Students, you know, the major first port which was built in our country India, that is known as Kandla Port. Where is that Kandla Port situated? Kandla Port situated in Gujarat, and that port, Kandla Port, also known as the tidal port. And that tidal port is much more important for our country India, because that tide helps that ships where they are coming from other country and moves from our country to other country, easily it comes to harbor, and a huge amount of goods they take from our country to other country. That Kandla Port gives service to the states like Jammu Kashmir, Punjab, Haryana, UP, Delhi and Madhya Pradesh, in that area. So after that port, one other port where we find that largest harbor area port established in our country, that is known as Mumbai Port. And Mumbai Port also congested because that Maharashtra, Adarmajeji, Karnataka and other part states also it gives service. That's why that congestion is much more here. To decongest that area, other port also established in Mumbai, that is known as Jawaharlal Nehru Port. And the Jawaharlal Nehru Port, they are also they lost the decongestion of Mumbai Port, and they gave service to that Mumbai ports. And you know that Jawaharlal Nehru Port is the part of the hub port Mumbai. And the next port we find, now I am going to discuss about other port which one we find in that Goa. You know, in Goa which port we find, that is known as Marmago Port. पोर्ट जो गोवा में पोर्ट है उसको हम लोग बोलते हैं मारमागो पोर्ट। दैट मारमागो पोर्ट exported that a 50% iron ore from our country to other country, and that gave service in a south part of our country. And the other port which one we find in that a Karnataka. In Karnataka, which port we find that is known as the न्यू मंगलोर पोर्ट. जो कर्नाटक का पोर्ट है उसको हम लोग बोलते हैं न्यू मंगलोर पोर्ट. एंड न्यू मंगलोर पोर्ट ऑल्सो गिव सर्विस टू दैट कर्नाटक एंड other area. And in Kundramukhi mines, which is situated near that Karnataka, that mines produce huge amount of iron ore, and that iron ore and other mineral also that is exported from our country to other country through that New Mangalore port. And next port which one we find southwest part of our country, that is known as the Tuticorin port. Tuticorin port that is situated in Tamil Nadu. You know that a Tuticorin port we find natural harbour, a large natural harbour we find here. That's why the island country like that Sri Lanka, Maldives, that countries huge amount of goods they gave service. They exported from that Tuticorin port to other country. And the next one port also we find in Tamil Nadu, that is known as the Chennai port. And that Chennai port also oldest artificial port in our country, India. That there are also huge amount of goods exported from our country to other country. And next one port which one we find that southwest part of our country, that is known as Kochi port. Kochi port we find in Kerala. In Kerala area, that Kochi port gave service in the southwest part of our country, in the southernmost, and there also we find a largest lagoon area we find in that port. If we move to southeast, there you find Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu area you find that Tuticorin port, and other one is that Chennai port. And next we move toward Visakhapatnam port. Visakhapatnam port we find where? Visakhapatnam port we found in Andhra Pradesh. And Visakhapatnam port is a deepest and a landlocked that a artificial port. And there are also deepest port we find. And everywhere we find there surrounding that port that lands are covered. And huge amount of goods also it is exported from our country to other country and imported from our country to other country. And next port we find Paradip port. Paradip port which is situated in Orissa, and a huge amount of iron ore also it is exported from our country to another country. The next port in the eastern part of our country, that is known as the Kolkata port. Kolkata port also known as the riverine port. And to lose the conjunction of that port, one port also again established there, that is known as Haldia port. Haldia port gave service to Kolkata port. And Kolkata port also known as the riverine port. And there also we find a largest area, that a harbour area, river Ganga and a Brahmaputra basin area, that a port situated, and give service to eastern part of our country. That is all about that major ports in our country, India.